a lot of people are using it. I don't know how many, I've worked with over 100,000 people, and it's shocking to me to be like, oh, you're doing this? Oh, you don't tell anybody, but I do this. Like even CEOs of pharma companies and all of these different places, they're always doing something that is outside of the norm. And so it's I think it's just laughable because really everybody who wants to get ahead is using these tools. Why don't we just kind of put it out there and say, okay, great, I want to explore them more so I can have more and do more, achieve more, and, do it with less.
Hey, it's Rocky. Welcome to Richer Soul. Today's guest is Sheevaun Moran, who will share how to go from chaos to clarity. Imagine it's 12 months from now, and you've achieved your major life goals. How does it feel to be in the best shape of your life? To wake up energized, excited about the day? To have great relationships and friends who support you and propel you forward? How does it feel to have an excess of money, to be able to make the choices you want? To be fearless and open to trying new adventures? Imagine being connected to the universe and it providing everything you desire. It's possible over time, and your past does not dictate your future. The only thing holding you back from this vision is you. It's time to take control of our thoughts and use them to our advantage. Welcome to Richer Soul, where we achieve our dreams and bring balance to health, wealth, relationships, time, and spirituality. If you have not had a chance to listen to episodes 1 through 9, I encourage you to go back and listen to the framework behind Richer Soul and how to create the life of your dreams. You can also find all the show notes for this episode at richersoul.com. While you're there, you can sign up for a monthly email where I share the best articles I read this month, let you know about upcoming episodes, and share a little wisdom. You can also listen to coaching calls under the Coaching Calls tab. I also share the most interesting articles I read every week on Facebook at facebook.com/Richer Soul. And there's also a Facebook group where you can ask questions and interact with other listeners. Today's quote comes from Hermann Hesse. Within you, there is a stillness and a sanctuary to which you can retreat at any time and be yourself. How often do you take the time to visit and be with just yourself? It's a daily practice for me. And I admit, sometimes I feel way too rushed. Matter of fact, just this morning I talked about I'm going to push the start of my day back an hour, at least a few more days a week. Now, mind you, I start my day at 9. And when I say start my day, I'm talking about, we'll call it the work play day. Long before that, I'm out at the gym and doing my reading and all the other stuff. I should say, I don't want to have appointments on my calendar before 9 a.m. And now I'm going to try and shove that to 10 for most days so that I am not rushed. If you had the choice to get ahead without having to go through the dip or through the struggle, would you? I ask because many people aren't willing to make changes in life until they hit bottom or they struggle a lot. I'm sure you've seen that. I prefer to avoid the struggle and to be proactive. Maybe I'm weird with that. It saved me a lot of pain. But then again, there are areas where I guess I'm waiting for the struggle before I change. We humans are funny like that. I've also been fascinated by energy in the body and how it works. I plan to do a lot more work in this area later this year and work on mastering myself around it. It's part of my yes-no. Yes, I want to do it, but no, I'm not doing it right now. I'm putting it on a calendar for later. Today, we're going to focus on the energy side and how it can make a massive difference for you, even when you are successful with money and wealth. We're going to chat about how to unwind and rewind traits, patterns, habits, attitudes, energy psychologies through a unique process that works with the subtle energies in psychology. It's this process that helps people sort out disruptions in their own electrical fields, in their own habits, health, and the results that they can have a better life with. Sheevaun Moran is a business advisor, master coach, quantum energy thought leader, and founder of Energetic Solutions. She's worked with over 25,000 entrepreneurs, CEOs, and leaders. She's combined her corporate experience, rapid growth expertise, and her unique approach using energetic techniques and principles to help innovate small business into big success. She's an expert at impact, influence, and income wizardry, where a business is stagnant or starting up. Let's meet Sheevaun. Welcome to Richer Soul, Sheevaun Moran. It's great to have you join us today.
Thanks for having me.
I'm excited to learn from you. Let's start at the beginning. What was it like when you were growing up, and how much did your family and school teach you about money?
My first business was at 11. I wanted a sweater that my parents wouldn't buy for me, but they said if I could figure out how to get the money for it, earn the money for it, that I could have it. And so I picked the biggest lawn on my street, and apparently the lady had just lost her person who was mowing lawns, and a little tiny 11-year-old girl walks up, knocks on the door, and said, "Hey, would you mind if I mowed your lawn?" And I had a lawn mowing route. A lawn mowing route was born. Then it became, in the winter, it became a snow shoveling route. So I would pick the biggest driveways and the biggest lawns, so I would make the bigger dollars. Yeah. So I kind of learned that way. And, I think my parents set up a savings account for me. And they would take me into the bank, or my dad would take me into the bank, and it was a thing. It was a process. It was a good process. I don't know that they did that for my siblings, but I know they did that for me. And then at 15, I sold the lawn mowing and the snow shoveling route for a T-shirt. Not a very good sale, but I sold it to my brother. I wanted a T-shirt really badly, and so it was a sale. I learned about bartering and negotiating and realized that I wanted the T-shirt more than I wanted the lawn mowing route. So it's kind of fun. And I learned that, you can really make your own way. And I didn't know there was anything different, I guess, from there on. Then I had another business at 15 and, kind of put myself through college and did all that cool stuff. Even though my parents paid for college, I basically took care of everything else. So it's been a journey. There was one thing that was unusual. I grew up in the sticks in Pennsylvania, and talking with most people over the course of my life, I realized that I was given a bookkeeping class, or I was in it was bookkeeping or accounting, something like that class. And I know that concept, whether I'm good at it or not, is not the point. That concept has always stuck with me more than most people just don't have that, have that whenever they're in high school. So cool thing.
So the bookkeeping class was actually in high school.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
So were your parents able to buy you the sweater, but chose not to, or was money tight that they didn't have the choice?
It was really interesting because we could walk into, again, this is in the sticks and in a way that doesn't make sense to people today, but I could walk into the store and I'd be like, "Hey, my dad's Bob, and I want to buy, I put this on his account." And, they'd put it into a thing and they'd put it on his account. And I think the sweater was, I don't know, $98 or $78, something a lot. It was a lot, even for today, I guess. But I don't know the truth of whether they were able to buy it or they were unwilling. I think it was they were unwilling, and there may have been something about unable to, but they gave me something that has just lasted all my life. My brother, I think, got his from me because I basically taught him a lot of stuff. But then my sister, she has a different mentality. There's something else that I think in that time, I think that was interesting because he would take me into his office and I would answer the phones on Saturdays. And I was responsible for anybody who walked in the door. And this is for somebody who's really shy. I didn't want to do that, but I knew that it was important to him, so I did it for him. So I think my sister may have gotten some of that, but I don't think they got the same depth as I did. But they're doing well in their own lives.
What was the office that your dad was working in that you were working in?
It was an insurance agency.
Okay.
Yeah.
So selling insurance, basically. Interesting. So that kind of started you on this entrepreneurial journey. You had another company at 15, and then what happened next?
Went to college and, did the college thing for a bit. I overdid it in college. I was a computer programmer when I was in high school. So I learned coding before it was cool. And then went to college and did that. And I thought, God, these people look sick and dead. I do not want to do this for my life. And so really changed into sales and marketing and thought the best way for me to do what I need to do is to get into sales and marketing. And that's kind of where it went.
And how did that turn out?
Well, I'm doing it.
You're still doing it? Okay, I didn't know if you're still doing it.
And I'm teaching it, I write we have 5 businesses and, I help a lot of businesses. And so, yeah, I'm kind of good at it.
What do you help businesses with?
It depends. Each person. So I have the range of one company right now that we're helping them get sold and sort out what's going on in their business. So we're taking whatever's going on in their business, we're helping them increase revenues and make sure that they're stable for when the sale happens. And I've done that every year with at least one business. And then I have other ones who we're taking them from idea to growth. And then I have other ones from they're stuck and at a plateau and they really just want to break free into what their next iteration is. Now, there's this other piece of it that always includes, I'll call it chaos to clarity. The chaos to clarity factor, the leader, the owner, the founder, the head person or head persons is teaching them how to deal with their chaotic mind, chaotic energy, chaotic habits, etc., and help them get into clarity and really dial it in so they can do more with less.
I like do more with less.
I know.
Are all of them willing to go from chaos to clarity? Or they will? Because I find a lot of people they shy away from doing the work. And maybe you're attracting the people who want to.
Yeah. By the time somebody has come to me, they've tried a bunch of things and it's maybe sort of worked, but the results aren't really showing up the way they can sense is possible or the way they see somebody else having it as possible. I'm really good at this hacking the human persona and hacking people's way of being, doing, and having in the world and teaching them a tool or a tip or a technique that is unique to them and their own circumstance. And I think one of the challenges that I found is most people try to put their person, their client, whoever is opposite of them into a box. And I'm looking to help them find the unique ability inside of them so that they can take this tool and apply it whenever they're in any circumstance or situation. And it works wonderfully. I always say I carry a train's worth of toolboxes behind me for any given client situation.
And I think that's where the mastery comes from is a lot of people look for a recipe, but in reality, I think you need a cookbook. And then you need to know how to make the small adjustments because everyone is different. Everyone's got different goals, different skills, different personalities, and figuring out how to apply a specific tool that might be helpful to them at the right time is magical. And it sounds like that's the magic you bring.
Yeah, that's very spot on. I like magic. I like teaching people how to take a tool and turn it into magic, and really turn it around.
So how did you get into this?
Oh, well, I didn't go looking for it for sure. I moved to California and I started working for this company who they were doing computer accessories. And there were 12 of us. And then we built that and got that sold to Rubbermaid. And I thought, oh, I've got about 18 months. This was my psychology at the time, my thoughts at the time. Turns out it proves right, but I didn't know that I knew what I was talking about. I was like, oh, I've got about 18 months before they get too big for their britches and start kicking out the cool things that we did and making everybody corporate-y. And sure enough, 18 months. And I thought, I'm finding more of these people. This is amazing. And entrepreneurs, that's entrepreneurship. And so I helped for five others, five total, do that. And I thought, this is just the best. And one of the things that I bring is the idea of, from my coding background, the way I think is very different from the soft, kind of subtle touch, that magical kind of touch. And bringing those together makes it pretty wonderful. But one of the businesses that I went in and was helping get built was a first nutraceutical company in the world. It was the first prescription nutraceutical. And for people who don't know what that is, it's a nutritional that it gets prescribed by a physician because it had certain elements in it. And so I loved what I was doing. I think there were four of us at the time. And we started growing that huge. And I was responsible for, opening up the entire United States and getting it built and so on. And I loved what I did so much. I got sick and then I got misdiagnosed. And then I ended up with sepsis, which is blood poisoning, which is usually lethal. And I ended up in the emergency room and I thought, I'm not just here to just leave and die. I'm here for something a little bit more. And I went home. I decided I'd go home, even though they told me I shouldn't. And people stay in the hospital for weeks. I decided if I could build companies, I could heal myself. And I did that. And so what I started thinking about was, what had I been doing to help these companies all get and expand their business into something, doing more with less and actually having greater impact and, revenues and bigger businesses. And so I just started reverse engineering all of that. And when I went back to that business, we helped it get prepared to be sold. And I thought, I'm done. I'm not doing this for anybody else again. I'm going to focus on this idea that there's this whole other aspect of how to help, a sales team, how to help a business owner, et cetera, really thrive and grow from their inner self and out into the world. I'm going to say one of the pharmaceutical executives, one of the big pharma executives, actually, when I came into his office after I came back from getting sick and healing myself, he's like, what have you been doing? We've been looking for you. This is amazing. You look amazing. What have you been doing? So we ended up having this long conversation about energy and subtlety and the soul and what people are here to do and how people are here to thrive. And so this executive, actually, that conversation inspired me to realize, people really do want to have that true, deep, knowing type of conversation and know how to take those things out into the world. And so I started teaching that. I started teaching meditation in colleges and actually the Air Force and all kinds of cool places all over the United States. And long before it was cool to talk about meditation. And so people wanted me to come and talk to their groups and their college courses and so on and so forth. And so I would do that all over the United States, sometimes across the world. And I wrote a book on it. And then what started to happen is people said, well, I want to take this and do more deep work with you. And I thought, okay, that sounds about right. Okay, we'll do that. So I just kind of stumbled my way into it, doing this weird woo stuff, supposedly. But here's the truth of it, is all of that stuff is the truth of nature and what nature is doing and how we're using nature to grow a business. And it was when a bunch of clients came to me and said, listen, the work you're doing with us is helping our businesses get unstuck and really march ahead and do really amazing things out in the world. And I thought, I keep hearing that. I should probably do something about that. And so that's kind of how I ended up here. I didn't go looking for it. I am good at what I do and finding, sleuthing to find the solution and then helping people, implement it. Ended up here.
So let's dig into that a little bit more. What exactly is it that you're doing or sharing with them that's causing these changes?
Well, everybody has organs in their body, and if you look at it at a business, I'll just use this as a business. So when you go and incorporate in a business, it says this is an entity in and of itself. And when I started reverse engineering that and looking at that, so we've got the business entity and then we've got the owner entity, right? We've got the human owner and then we've got the business entity. And the business entity and the owner are meshing their energy, their ideas, etc., until it gets to a certain monetary place. And as the owner chooses to expand, get over, learn, grow, find a niche, speak to their audience, etc., they actually have to learn to do things for themselves and transform themselves, or else their business won't grow. Just a matter of fact. They have to think bigger. They have to learn how to break molds. They have to learn how to break through. They have to learn who they are, and how they behave. And many don't, and that's cool. Many just go for the money. And then all of a sudden, things in their personal life or their health start to, go sideways or get precarious. And when I started, that's when people were coming to me when they had health things get precarious and things in their relationships in their lives were getting precarious. And what I realized is every time there's a money issue, there's a health issue. And if I can take those things and teach people how to unwind those traits, patterns, habits, attitudes, energies, psychologies, etc., and help them rewind that in a much more organic, beautiful way to get a result, then that's really what's going to work every time. So I have a unique process. I have a very long intake form, and it starts really working with subtle energies and psychology. And some will say, I'll use this term that is not so popular right now, but the bioelectrics of ourselves. Our electricity in our body has a particular way of, we'll say, humming and working. And oftentimes we are disrupting our own electricity, and that's actually disrupting our habits, and that's disrupting our health, and that's disrupting our results. And so I help them sort that out.
Let's dig into a couple of these. First off, just real quick, you said a lot of people just chase the money instead of doing the other work. What % of people are really willing to do the work?
I think people are really willing to do the work once they've had some sort of catharsis or breakdown. Or I've helped a lot of business owners get their company sold. And at the other side of it, I always give them what's going on now, what's going on in the sale, and what's going to happen after. I said, so here are some things that are going to happen. And we have to set you up to make sure that you don't just collapse after. And you can see this with a lot of folks who sell their businesses. There's a whole big collapse of, well, who am I? What do I do? How do I take this? Where's my value? My identity. But more importantly, their energy was tied to their business. And now that that's ripped away, they have to become new and different. And so percentage, I would say everybody who comes to me is willing to do the work, or I tell them they're not my right client. And I can tell that from our first conversation. I'm very good at telling that from our first conversation. But by the time they come to me, again, they've done enough other work. And it's like, that's good, that's nice, and that's helped. But that hasn't totally shifted things. And so by the time they come to me, they're super willing.
You're attracting a certain kind of people to yourself that are willing to do that work.
Yeah, I mean, because what I say is if you can do something, if you have something to offer the planet with your business or your idea or whatever it is, your essence, whatever that is you're here for something. And if you want to do it in an easier way without breaking yourself, then I'm your girl. If not, there are other things out there, other people out there. I'm kind of very matter of fact.
And I appreciate that. I like the fact that, like, hey, this is what I do and this is how we do it. And if it's for you, great. And if it's not, so be it. And we're very much the same in the way we do our business. It's like, hey, this is what we do. This is who it's for. If it's not for you, that's okay. And we'll live with that, And I just find a lot of people, they come in different groups. One group is totally unaware that there is all this other stuff out there. I find a lot of people are fearful once they know to take a step in that direction just because it's different. It's not something they normally talk about. The reason I asked that first question is because for many people, money is taboo, right? It's not a topic that we might talk about. And some of these other things that you're talking about with psychology and the woo-woo, for a lot of people, it's outside their comfort zone. And so that was just curiosity for that, I think.
I love that that people have this concept that's outside of their comfort zone, because when I talk to anybody of any different realm, any different business, in any place in their life, they're always doing something that is kind of woo-woo and a little odd. And it's really fascinating how it's kind of gotten a little bit of a bad rap. And it's like, I'm just out there saying it because, listen, a lot of people are using it. I don't know how many, I've worked with over 100,000 people, and it's shocking to me to be like, oh, you're doing this? Oh, you don't tell anybody, but I do this. Like even CEOs of pharma companies and all of these different places, they're always doing something that is outside of the norm. And so it's I think it's just laughable, because really everybody who wants to get ahead is using these tools. Why don't we just kind of put it out there and say, okay, great, I want to explore them more so I can have more and do more, achieve more, and do it with less.
You keep talking about tools and toolboxes. What are some of the specific tools that you use?
So love this one. Is there somebody in your world who just kind of rubs you the wrong way?
Yeah, there are people. Everyone's got that, right?
Yeah. Okay, right. So generally what you hear out in the zeitgeist of the world is, oh, just let it go. There's no way our psychology just lets it go. We're not taught how to let go from the time we're a child. We're not taught how to let go of our parents' hand, how to let go. We're not taught that. And so we teach some tools on how to disconnect from that, so that what can occur is that energetic connection, kind of like that old style telephone wire, is actually cut, so that you kind of get back into your own zone, your own space, and you're free for a few minutes or as long as it takes of that other person's possession of your, how you think or how you act, right? Because if you interact with any person that you have a challenge with, you're actually feeding energy back and forth. You're a bioelectric match, and that's what's starting to happen. Unless you disconnect that connection, like hanging up, you continue to have that bioelectric conversation. And it's not useful, and it just keeps going circular. And so I teach people how to unwind that and disconnect from that.
Can you define bioelectronics?
Yeah, I love that. So we're the bio, and inside of us we have cells, and the cells actually have been measured to have electricity in them, right? Our brain is, if you've ever done this, my husband at one time, he said, oh, check this out. You can put your remote control to the garage door to your head, and you're a block and a half away. And I was like, no, you can't. And he said, yeah, do it. And so I did. And I thought, no kidding, that freaking thing worked. And so what it does is it sends an invisible electrical thing to the garage door opener, and that's electricity. And our brains are super electric. Our hearts are super electric. And so we're the bio, and that's the electric. And it's just, we're electric beings just kind of connecting with each other. It's kind of fun.
Today's episode is sponsored by Profit Answer Man Podcast. Did you know that most small business owners hate looking at their financials? It's one reason they may struggle with business success. The Profit Answer Man podcast helps them ensure they are profitable and can pay their employees and weather the storms we all have to face. It's built on the Profit First methodology of pay yourself first. The Profit Answer Man podcast is a must listen to for every small business owner and anyone who wants to help them survive and thrive. Check it out on your favorite listening platform. And I think people forget that we are that electric, in the sense that your entire heartbeat and the entire system is done by electricity. And that's what a pacemaker is, right? It's an electrical
That's right.
impulse device. And when they study your heart, they're hooking up the electrodes to see how the electricity is flowing. The brain
That's
uses about 20% of the caloric intake every day, and it's doing a ton of like computer processing, which is all electrical signals.
Electric. Yeah. Every little thing inside of us is electric. It's amazing. Thank you for knowing that. Yeah, that's amazing. Our brains are energy hogs. They're electric hogs.
They are electric hog. Even a brain that does nothing all day still uses about 20% of the body's energy for the day. It's funny. We all go to the gym,
right.
But not as many people work out their brain.
I know, or their energy, or that subtle energy that is always there, that actually is the thing that will create the muscle. Anyway.
So how do we measure that electrical energy? And then how do we change it or use it to our benefit? Like, how do we know where we're at in the moment?
So one thing that has to happen is you have to start becoming a little bit more aware of your selfness. Like, you know who you are in your own being, away from the rest of people, etc. Yet you interact with somebody, and all of a sudden, you feel emotional, and it's like, I was just happy. I don't understand. You don't realize there has been a communication, and their energy, their electric stuff, is actually permeating yours and helping evoke that in you. And so you have to know you first. In all of the psychology of Jung and all of those wonderful psychologists, they teach you about looking for you as the problem. Well, the fact of the matter is, you have to actually know your energy first. You have to know a little bit about who you are and how your essence is, how you respond to people in a general way. So I always say, if you have the toilet paper roll is put where it's facing down, and you always put it facing down, yet somebody's come in your house and it's now facing up, it's just like, oh, okay, those are happening to us on any given interaction or communication with somebody. And so you have to first know yourself. The second thing is, here's a study that was just done recently. I think they talked about it in the singularity conversation of a woman did a study of the Dalai Lama, one of the Dalai Lama's little lamas, from 15 minutes before they meditated and then 15 minutes after they meditated. And 15 minutes after they meditated, the stem cells of the Lama who had meditated had increased by 40%. So that means our stem cells, our basic cellular structure, has actually gone into massive repair and restoration, because stem cells are very commonly used today in order to heal something. And so meditation is one way. Now, meditation is still kind of a bad word to many people. I say, if you have a problem that cycles in your brain, in any way, you're meditating on a problem. So you're already meditating. It's just you didn't learn how to meditate on a solution. And so I wrote a book about that. So those are two little ways. I think more importantly to sense it is to say, okay, you know that you have been around somebody that you don't like and it doesn't make sense. Everybody's had this. It does not make sense that you don't have a sense that you like this person when, and for all intents and purposes, you should. It's all good. And there's something going on, and you have to pay attention to those and start realizing that maybe that person opposite of you has something that is a challenge. And start with that. Start simple, and then when you want to learn something more complicated, then come to me.
Well, and I think that's part of it. A lot of what you're talking about is woo-woo, but a lot of it is now being proven by science. And the more that science advances, the more they have the technology to be able to do this. And they're starting to see it. It seems a long time ago at some point, right? Science and that whole realm kind of separated from the spiritual realm, and they both went their separate ways. It seems like they're coming back together, and people are crossing the lines both ways and blurring it as they realize that they do belong together. It is all a enclosed system, so to speak. You can't do one without the other.
True. And we say that we need a machine for it, but we're the best machine ever. I mean, we have the coolest machine right within our own essence of who we are. And it's just about learning, like I can feel energy, I can sense energy. Well, everybody can, and everybody can learn how to do it and learn to do it in a way that is right for them and what results they want to achieve. And it's not that woo-woo or weird. It's actually going to help you get further ahead in your life with less friction.
If someone wanted to spend time learning more, are there certain resources or people, or where can they begin that journey if this is new to them?
Yeah, so I have two companies that we talk about. One is Energetic Solutions, which is the consulting company where I help the entrepreneurs really, wherever they are in their journey. And you can read anything or listen to the podcast or whatever. It's awesome. I talk about energy everywhere there. And then I have a school where I teach people how to use this stuff in their life, in their business, and blend the two. I always say that if you have other sensitivities, you're more awake. You've done some consciousness work. Maybe you've woken up from some of the stuff that people are doing lots of today, which are the medicines or whatever. But you're more awake. And you really want to learn and discern and understand how energy and how to master your own energy is going to help you get that much further ahead with your life, your family, your business, your health, etc. Because if you look at society today, everything is Wi-Fi. There's Wi-Fi everywhere. And we're being impacted by Wi-Fi at any given minute. I'm on wireless headphones. I'm on a phone that, you know what I mean? It's just like everything is wireless. And so we're being bombarded by these energies, but we're not taking ownership of our own energy and learning how to master that. And we can have another machine that gives us that data. That's great. But if we don't learn how to master it inside of ourselves, we're then abdicating our own, our own essence and beingness to something that we actually have the capability to do something with our hands and with particular processes. So it's kind of simple, but it's complicated.
I'm guessing that most people are not aware of their energy, in a sense that maybe when they get a strong signal, they are. But on an average day-to-day basis, are most people kind of disconnected from themselves, just going through the motions?
I love that question. I think most people are connected, yet they're moving so much faster that they are not going to allow themselves to stop for a moment and pay attention. They're not going to allow that little nudge to be a true nudge and say, hey, do this now. Take action, because everyone's had one of those. Oh my God, I knew that then. I should have done that then. That's an energetic impulse, right? And so I think everybody is awake and aware to it when they're more relaxed, but we've become so conditioned that it's wrong, that it's bad, that there's something, weird about it, that we shouldn't be doing anything about it. I'll give you an example. I was at a mastermind with a bunch of high-level entrepreneurs recently, and they were all very intellectual. And I said, listen, all of you guys are smart. I get that all of y'all are smart, but there are two things that I need you to understand, and maybe you'll play with this with me, Rocky, is in your left hand, speak the word HATE. So speak hate in your left hand. So speak that word into your left hand. Try that with me now. Go ahead. Yeah. And tell me what that feels like in your left hand. So, yep.
Say hate. Okay.
And tell me what that feels like in your left hand.
Holding it?
Yeah.
I don't know. I will admit, I'm not very connected.
Maybe you are and you don't know. So take your right hand and put joy, joy, joy.
Joy, joy, joy.
Now tell me the distinction between the left hand and right hand.
This hand feels, the right hand feels like lighter or more energetic.
Okay, so maybe you are more connected and awake. You just didn't know it. And you didn't know that somebody could teach you that, there's a little process that you can actually learn to find out, I kind of am a little bit more awake. It's surprising. I mean, I'm about how simple can the tool be so you have some awareness to take another step. So now you can't say to yourself anymore, hey, maybe I'm not as unawake as I thought.
And I'm working on it.
Yeah, well, so you're open. So just that little exercise right there, that's a tiny little example of, hey, people are way more open and awake to it. They just don't know, and they haven't had somebody guide them through it.
You have to slow down and pay attention.
You have to breathe.
You have to breathe. Yes.
Yes.
I do that. I have an HRV monitor that I use every morning just to see where I'm at, and I'm still trying to figure that out too. And I have all these things I want to learn. So there's a whole long list. And I just,
you need to come to the school.
I'm getting much better about prioritizing my lists and putting them all in order and saying, this is what I'm doing now. And this is what I'm going to do for the next quarter. And this is, and so I've got the rest of this year planned out, quarter by quarter, where I'm going to spend my time and focus. And those are two of those areas are very big towards life, and they'll come in the second half of this year. So again, you can't do everything. And so I've learned to be a little bit more focused these days and figure out, what are we doing next? Focus on the one thing and then be done and then move on. And what it really does is allow me to say no. And by allowing me to say no, it allows me to say yes to what I really want to do. So little by little, We're getting there. I'll definitely check out the work and see what you talk about. I'm still trying to learn and figure it all out. And that's the whole purpose of the podcast, is to help others also be exposed and start those processes for themselves and see what they can figure out, and just kind of opening the door to experts and saying, all right, go check this out and see if it will help you. How long does it take? Yeah. Let's say somebody comes in and they want to take control of their energetic system and be in complete control. How long does it take to master that?
Well, it's a lifetime, but how does it take? How long does it take to learn it? It takes 4 days to learn it.
So relatively
4 days quick. To learn it, a lifetime to master.
Okay. It's one of those things, right? You keep practicing, getting better. It's kind of like peeling the onion. Every time you get through one level, the next level appears.
Yeah, we could. But here's what I like to do. The basics are so profound, and you can have so many shifts with just the basics. I try not to teach too many advanced things. I got the coolest advanced things I can teach, but the basics, I always say the basics are where the magic and the mojo and all of the things meet, so that somebody can take another step. And so, listen, it's, if you want to master your energy, the first conversation is really just not a logical conversation. It's an illogical conversation that your soul or your higher self, whatever you call it, whatever that is for you, says, "Oh, I'm really interested," and then to really put aside the intellect and say, "Yeah, there's something here for me."
Very interesting. Is there something we should have talked about that we didn't get a chance to?
Oh gosh, no. I mean, you got me to go deep and really share some cool things. So I think you've done great.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. It's time to learn the secrets of life. What's your secret to living an abundant life?
Oh, I love that question. So my secret to living abundant life is to really work on myself, do my meditations, do the work that I do for me so I can be available for somebody else, and know that, I'm always taken care of so long as I just go and direct myself to my true north.
And I think a big part of that is figuring out your true north and then doing the work on yourself, not expecting somebody else to do it for you. I can't send someone else to the gym, can I?
No, but you can certainly have somebody help you make sure you maximize it.
And that is very, very true. Always nice to have a trainer. What did you learn later in life that you wish you would have learned sooner?
A lot of death in my life, a lot of people who in my personal life that passed, and the essence of that was life's too short. Just go, say yes, and just go. And that's a good reminder to have happen all the time to yourself, is not death, but to remind yourself that life's short. It's really short. You do not know what you've got, how much you've got, and who's got what. And it's just say yes.
As you age, that becomes more apparent. As you see a lot more death, it becomes more apparent. And
I happen to get that before most people on the planet. I learned that very early on. So, yeah, I'm grateful that I learned it early on because it's helped me help a lot of people.
That's awesome. If you were to give an 18-year-old one specific piece of wisdom, what would it be?
Oh, learn how to sell. Yeah, better learn how to sell. You better learn how to sell because it's going to be everything in your life.
And I always say that we are all in sales. Most people don't want to admit it or realize it. But at the end of the day, we are all in sales, whether it's getting your kid to do something, finding, a date or a spouse, or if you have a job and you want to get a promotion or a raise or whatever it is. We are in sales all the time. So learn the skill and put it to good use.
Yeah. Learn earlier.
If people would like to learn more about you and your programs, what's the best way for them to do that?
Go to SheevaunMoran.com, SheevaunMoran.com. And there's an assessment, there's links, there's like a little documentary, there's all kinds of things that you can poke around there. I think you can even get access to our school there, somewhere down toward the end. And then we also, we've been feeding and helping people in between and that bridge the gap for over 15 years. And we help many hundreds of thousands of people every year. And so that's on there. So go to SheevaunMoran.com. It's kind of like the gateway.
And we'll put that in the show notes. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Were you aware at how many different electrical pathways are within our body and how much of a control signal it is to the way we act and behave? Everything from brain waves to our heartbeat is based on electrical flow. Yep, we're not taught about this in school. We're not taught how to master it. The reality is when you can, you feel powerful enough to face whatever life throws at you. Yet, we all know this at a gut level. Sometimes you might say in certain places, oh, look at the energy this place has. Or somebody walks into a room and they suck the energy from it. It's real. As for me, I know I need to work on better controlling it and managing it. Matter of fact, I'm going to spend a lot of time the second half of this year focusing on that, exploring and learning. What about you? Have you thought about exploring how our body's electrical impulses work and how to control them? Might be interesting. Next week, I've got on Dr. Sass to talk about creating a vision. And by the way, she actually introduced me to a bunch of people in this whole energy flow space, and I've been meeting them as well. It's been quite interesting. By the way, if you enjoyed today's episode and you know someone else who would you mind sharing it with them? Or share it wherever you tend to share podcasts. I'd appreciate that. Thanks for listening. Have an abundant week.